This show is brought to you by NoGravCBD.com. If you've got joint pain or other medical issues, check out NoGravCBD.com. That's NoGravCBD.com. Use promo code RACHMAN for your special rates. The Jacksonville Free Press, bringing quality urban news for more than 30 years. Pie 5 Pizza, food that's fun, fresh, and fast. Pie 5. And of course, Edward Waters College, preserving history, promising futures. And now, from the campus of Edward Waters College, it's the Rahman Experience. The Rahman Experience.
It's a brand new experience, a brand new time, a brand new way to do it. Hey, yeah, it's all mine. I'm the one telling stories you thought couldn't be told. I'm the one that bring you in your when you shaking from the cold. I'm the one always out front, yeah, trying something new. I'm the one that's gonna deliver when they ask what it do. Politics, entertainment, and science, what it do. Keeping you on the level with the stuff you can use. DJ Kids on the beat, the Rock's got the track. It's the Rahman Experience. You know that's where it's at.
Everybody, welcome. Today is an interesting show, not the norm. Your Best Life will take up the majority of the show, but I wanted to spend some time with you talking about the news and what's going on. And we'll be doing this from time to time. I'm inviting one of my students on to talk shop with me about her take on the news and some of the things that are happening. So pay attention. You may learn something. I know I did, and I think she did as well. Also, don't forget you can always engage with me. We keep the conversation going 24/7 on social media, at Rahman J on Twitter, at Rahman J on Instagram, or Rahman J Fans on Facebook, facebook.com/Rahman J Fans. We keep the conversation and news going consistently. So I'd love to have you there with me so that we can talk about the things that are going on in the world, because that's what the Rahman Experience podcast is all about. But I cannot wait for you to hear Your Best Life. If I sound a little weird, I am still recovering. Bronchitis, the doctor says, but I'm not with it. Anyway, we'll be right back in just moments with some more of the happenings around the world. But first, let's take a look at the news. The White House is under fire again with its nomination of Dr. Ronnie Jackson to lead the Department of Veterans Affairs. Now, even though he had no experience in running an organization of that size, he was nominated because the president said he was, quote-unquote, straight out of central casting. Now, the Senate committee debating his confirmation has said that they have complaints from several people that told of Dr. Jackson's drinking heavily while on overseas trips, and he was also nicknamed the Candy Man due to the fact that he would write prescriptions for sleeping pills and other drugs and give them out like candy. Now, Jackson remains a candidate for the cabinet post. The eyes of the world remain on Washington this week as the French President Emmanuel Macron and his wife Brigitte visited the United States for the Trump administration's first state visit. Now, a part of the discussion was on the response to Syria's chemical attacks on its people, European trade, and the denuclearization of the Korean Peninsula. It was also First Lady Melania Trump's first major public event, and everyone said that it was a smashing success. In fact, the state dinner featured the First Lady wearing a gown made by Chanel. There's been a fourth death in central Illinois that is connected to synthetic marijuana. That's according to the Illinois Department of Public Health. Now, since March 7th, synthetic marijuana has sickened over 150 people. It's also been blamed in 4 deaths, a woman in her 30s, a man in his 40s, and 2 men in their 20s. Now, synthetic cannabinoids across Chicago and parts of central Illinois have been found to contain barifurcodium, which is a rat poison, according to state officials. And this rat poison is lethal and deadly. Authorities say in the area that people should be extremely careful when using any kind of illegal substance. More of our roundtable news discussion in just a moment. We'll be right back.
Donna from Louisiana. The storm just hit, and we went from donating to the food bank to needing it.
Hunger is a story we can end. End it at feedingamerica.org. Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
Welcome back. It's the Rahman Experience, and as you can tell a little bit, I'm somewhat under the weather. I've been told, I don't like to say I have certain illnesses or sicknesses or whatever, but the doctors say I have bronchitis. I don't believe it. Ain't no bronchitis, but regardless, I'm still here, and we're going to take a look at some of the top stories this week. It's just me, and I've invited one of my students to hang out with me, one of my learning team members. She is a very intelligent young lady. She volunteers and works with students. She's a new member of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated, and she is a rising senior communications major at Edward Waters College. Please welcome Kayla Hagan. Hey, Kayla.
Hey, how you doing?
Amazing. All right, so let's talk. You're there's some. What stories have jumped out to you this week in the news?
Suspect accused of 45 rapes and 12 killings
In Golden State.
Yes, has finally been identified as a former police officer, Joseph James D'Angelo.
Yeah.
This is really crazy because it's kind of ironic.
That he's the authority.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's like what's done in the dark finally comes to the light because it happened in 1976
That's
to
right.
1986. That's a whole 10 years. So it's crazy. Just when you think that you'll get away with something, boom.
And just so everyone's up to speed on it, the person is called the Golden State Killer, accused of 12 killings and 45 rapes across California from 1976 to 86. And the person is now under arrest. The suspect was also known as the East Area Rapist and the original Night Stalker that first raped June 18th, 1976, which is just about a month after I was born. Right? And so they've just caught him. This person, the victim, Jane, was dozing in her bed with her 3-year-old son after her husband left for work. And then when she woke up, there was a masked man in her doorway holding a butcher knife. He bound Jane and her son with shoelaces, blindfolded, and gagged them with torn sheets. And then he unbound Jane's ankles, and then he raped Jane. And that's to show you how graphic this person was. But they say this is a member of the authorities. And this year, a book and a series from Headline News was released. And that's what renewed interest in the case. And now they were able to find what they believe is now the Golden State Killer. Yeah, interesting. And when you look at it, to see, that means he knew every move the police were making, right?
Yeah, because it's kind of ironic that you're working on a case that you know that you did, or you trying to solve a case or a crime that you have committed.
Yeah, it just makes no sense. You would think that, there would be a bit more evaluation, that it would take 40 years. Because think about it, most of the people, if they were already, let's say 35 or 40 at the time, some of those people have died. Mm-hmm. A lot of memories are cloudy. So now you got to try to figure out how to convict this guy.
It's kind of crazy too, because there's no telling what they went through later on in their life with postpartum. It's real. Yeah,
like losing their people. Yeah, exactly. Now, also in the news, suspected Waffle House gunman. He said that he thought his laptop was hacked. This is breaking news, that his laptop was hacked weeks before the shooting. So this guy clearly had some mental illness issues. And according to him, he's accused of killing 4 people at a Nashville area Waffle House. And although I don't want to say his name, I really want to talk about the guy that took it down. But let's talk about Waffle House. Let's talk about it. What do you think about the fact that this guy, mind you, he tried to break in. Well, he was at the White House in a place he wasn't supposed to be. He was other places he wasn't supposed to be. And they took his guns away, and his dad gave them back to him. I mean, it's kind of weird, right?
Yeah, and I feel like he's trying to play crazy and stuff like that, so he really will get off. But he really need to be punished because he killed, not just saying because he killed one of my stars, but still because he killed 4 innocent people that just went to a place to get something to eat.
Right, they were just trying to eat, just trying to be, speaking of Greek letter organizations, what about the Alpha? The guy was an Alpha, right? The guy that took him down?
Oh, I did not know that.
He was an Alpha. And, I mean, he literally ran up on dude. He talked about how when he grabbed the gun, it was still hot. You know how when you shot a gun?
Yep.
So he still got blisters on his hands from where he grabbed the gun. But he was like, well, if I'm going to go out, he better come hard. Mm-hmm. You better come hard.
Yeah, so I'm happy that they revoked his bond.
Oh, so the bond has been revoked?
Yep.
Did they say what?
$2 million bond revoked.
Which means that he has to stay in jail.
Yep.
Wow.
He has to stay in jail. His bond hearing was set for Wednesday according to an order signed by the state. Judge Michael, I don't want to mispronounce his last name, in Davidson County, who did not provide a great explanation for his decision, but I'm glad that he decided to revoke it. At least somebody.
Yeah, because what if he were able, there's so many people out here that may feel that it's okay to post bond for somebody like that. And what if the bond was posted and this guy's out walking around doing who knows what? And did you see that he actually went in to do the shooting naked? He was nude. Yeah, he had on like a trench coat, but he was like nude other than the trench coat.
Oh yeah, see, he need to rot in prison. Lord forgive me, but he need to rot in prison. And originally his bond was set for $500,000 for each homicide charge. That's why it equal to $2 million. And I feel like he
So
gets
what do you think should happen? I mean, obviously we're talking opinion now. What do you think should happen to him?
I think that he should actually serve life in prison because he took someone's life. I feel like he shouldn't have the justice, or he shouldn't get granted, the death penalty. I feel like he need to suffer for what he did. Oh, wow. And what's crazy is his grandma made a statement. She was like, "My heart goes out for the people who have lost their loved ones." And she also continued to say, "I've lost 2 children myself, and I know what it feels like. My heart really goes out to them, but we have a side too." That's like I don't understand. It shouldn't be no buts when it comes to that.
Yeah, I agree with you there. Wow. There's
no buts, because once you buts, you begin to contradict yourself.
Yeah, and it's almost like you are justifying what this madman did.
Yeah,
and clearly that's work of a madman.
It's stupid.
Wow. All right, let's jump over into entertainment. So Michelle Williams from Destiny's Child is engaged. Did you hear that?
No, I did not.
Yeah, Michelle Williams is engaged. She has a new fiance. His name is Chad Johnson, and he is
Caucasian.
He's Caucasian, and there's like a big controversy. He's also a pastor. There's a big controversy right now because he is a huge, wait for it, Make America Great Again supporter, Donald Trump supporter. Yeah. And so there are a lot of receipts that we're looking here. They were really happy for her when she announced she was getting engaged after Destiny's Child came back together with Beyonce on Coachella. And we'll talk about Coachella in just a moment. Yes. But they have this guy with the whole, I'm looking at these, it's on the ybf.com, but they were talking about Blue Lives Matter and all of this stuff on the page. So what do you think about that? Does it matter? I mean, there's the Beyonce.
Okay, I don't feel like it matters as far as who you love, but at the same time, I'm confused. Like, yes, people tend to have their own, demographic,
their preferences or whatever, yeah.
But at the same time, come on now, Michelle always didn't have it all. If you ask me, she always didn't have it all. She was always the third wheel when it came to Destiny's Child. And I feel like this is really an attention seeker.
Wow.
I said it because, I don't have no filter. Like, that's just something I don't know why it's like going against the grain. Come on.
Well, it looks like there's a possibility, because I'm looking and they went and dug up some of the photos and everything. So does it really matter? Do you really think it matters?
I don't feel like it matters as far as who you love, but at the same time, with Trump, it's a lot of stuff going on and a lot of stuff that I feel like Michelle, being a quote-unquote gospel singer, she should, have difference, or she should feel some type of way about, and for her fiance to be a full-blown supporter, that's
maybe not genuine. I get it. Speaking of Michelle, she and Destiny's Child came back together. We didn't really talk about it, but did you see the performance at Coachella with Beyonce and Destiny's Child? What do you think? There were a lot of memes like kind of knocking
Michelle.
Yeah,
it always not Michelle, because Michelle really, they always treated her like a stepchild. But if you ask me, that's kind of what she gets since her fiance is who her fiance is.
So she just gets that.
Yes, it's not fair, but it's just the type of world that we live in today. But speaking of Coachella, Beyonce done lost her mind.
Why you say that?
I'm sorry for the Beehive fans, but Beyonce lost her mind.
Oh, the Beta Delta Kappa? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, because I wish somebody, and then they're throwing up the little pyramids. Listen,
really?
Yes.
What they do that with The Rock anyway, with Jay-Z.
Yeah, I don't care about none of that, but don't do that.
Yeah, the Beta Delta. Well, do you know what she did after the show? She gave a full scholarship to HBCUs afterward. Yeah.
Well, that's nice. But
can she get a pass a little bit?
No pass.
It's because of the Delta sign
Yes.
and the dynasty sign?
Yes.
No haps with the Delta Sigma
Nope.
Theta? Is that something Delta, or all Deltas kind of like over it with Beta Delta Kappa?
I can't speak for everybody, but I can speak for myself.
And isn't there like yellow in the color of BDK?
I don't know what she got going on, but far as me and my sorority,
Yeah.
you don't let me hear you say, "Oh, I'm a part of the Beehive," and throw up my pyramid, because then we're gonna have problems. Because I'm gonna ask you what it means.
Oh goodness, here we go. Let's try not to divide. All right. Well, as you know, the Avengers Infinity War is about to come out. Huge trip back to Wakanda. No, I will not be dressing in authentic Wakandan garb as I did, because I think Black Panther was all about us, but this is different. Infinity War. So there was a joke told at one of the recent premieres. As you know, Robert Downey Jr. is Iron Man, and at one of the recent premieres, he said that he was an honorary black man. And I want to know what you think about that. There's Robert Downey Jr., you know, he's had some major issues out there, and according to what was said, he proclaimed himself an honorary black man. What do you think about that?
If he wants to be an honorary black man,
It's okay?
let him be. If he feel like he, did enough
Right?
to be an honorary black man,
Then you'd be okay with that.
I'm fine with that.
Okay.
I'm fine with that. That really makes me proud. Like, wow, somebody really want to be a part of my
You want to be down that bad.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah, okay.
So
okay.
let him get a pass. Like, who else gets a pass? Eminem.
Eminem gets a pass for you.
Eminem.
Okay.
He gets a pass. For
To me, I don't think you even need to say that. If you're so cool and so down, do you really need to say it? Like, I'm looking here. It says during the Avengers premiere, he turned around to the audience. He said, Wakanda forever, and did the salute. And he said to the audience, I can say that as an honorary black man. And he was referring to, remember he was in Tropic Thunder, this movie where he was in blackface in 2008.
Oh, what? Wait.
He was in a movie in 2008 where he put blackface on. But here's the thing. Putting blackface on or being in a movie that's an all African-American cast, and I'm not here to be political because we're talking entertainment right now, but does that make you an African-American because you did that?
No.
Because I haven't heard one speech on Black Lives Matter. I ain't seen you lay out in one protest.
Yeah.
I haven't seen you protest any killings of unarmed black people anywhere.
Yeah, see, I was unaware of the blackface thing. That's racist.
And it was a movie. Well, it was a movie.
It's still racist.
Yeah, I mean...
That's still racist, but... Now, see, you kind of making me change my answer. Now I feel like Michelle. I'm contradicting myself.
It's not but no, here's the thing. That's the beauty of it. You see some information you didn't have before. Mm-hmm. And in this, that's why I think it's so interesting that, to me, like, I have friends of all different colors and races and genders and sexualities, but I don't have to say I have a gay friend. I don't have to say I have a white friend, or I don't have to say any of those things. It's just, if my gay friend comes on, I'm not going to treat him differently than I'm going to treat my white friend. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Or I'm not going to even say this is that part of that. They're just my friend, right? You're my friend. And so I think if we do a better job of that, and when there is injustice, speaking out.
Yeah.
There's this group of kids, I think I talked about it on my show a couple of weeks ago, in Michigan, that were throwing like rocks off the overpass, and they ended up hitting a car, and they did, kill a guy, or the guy was injured. I don't know if he was killed, but I think he was injured severely, and they got like a long time in prison, like, in jail time, right? And they were just saying on that same week, remember that guy who went to jail in Texas with something called affluenza? There was this teen who went to jail. They said he had affluenza, and they said basically he was too rich for his own good. He was 14 years old, and he stole his parents' car. He was drinking and driving. While he was drinking and driving, he killed 4 people.
Oh, yeah, he needed to be in jail.
He got out. He just got out the other day.
That is crazy.
He only did maybe 3 years, and he did it all in juvenile. 3 years? Because I was on the news at the time when he did it. He did it all in juvenile, and the defense was, well, he didn't know consequences because his family was just so rich. So it was affluenza.
That's crazy. And the judge that did that's some bull. Wow. Especially if kids, and I'm pretty sure they were minorities that threw the rocks off, thinking all this time.
Well, actually, no. Let me be. I think some of them were maybe like Hispanic, but they were white and Hispanic.
Minorities.
But still, like, wrong is wrong.
Right.
And if you're gonna let this kid, and this kid killed 4 people.
And you 14 and you drinking and you're driving. First of all, you're 14. You can't even have a permit.
You can't have a license. You can't drink. And I don't know, since you didn't know the story, how about this? His mom, because she didn't want him to go to jail, literally took him to Mexico, and they hid out in Mexico for like months. They had to go down and catch him.
And he got out?
Well,
that's crazy.
They finally went and got him and brought him back, and they made, of course, charged her with obstruction and all that stuff.
I'm pretty sure she's out too.
She's out too.
That is crazy.
Yeah.
Wow.
And they were these parents that never
wow.
said no to their kid.
Wow.
Yeah, pretty sad. Pretty sad. Well, thank you for at least spending some time in the news roundtable. Any stories you want to jump in real quick before we get out of here and get over onto your best life?
Yes, one thing I'd like to say, congratulations to the graduating class of 2018.
Yes.
At Edward Waters College.
And all over the country.
All over the country, but especially at Edward Waters College.
Love
the
it.
First HBCU in the state of Florida.
The first private college. Oldest private college in Florida. Yeah.
How about that?
Hey. All right, good stuff. Congratulations, and happy congratulations to you, class of 2019. We can't wait. Thanks for hanging out with me.
Tuda.
We'll be right back. Mondays are just like one of those days.
Back to work already?
Now, Pie 5 Pizza Company gives you Magic Monday. Just stop in and mention Magic Monday, and for a limited time only, for just $5.55. That's right, $5.55. Get your custom handcrafted pie just the way you like it. The toppings you want, more than 40. Your favorite crust. We've got 4, including gluten-free. And your pick of savory sauces. It's all for just $5.55 at participating locations only. Fun, fresh, fast, and sprinkled with a little bit of magic. It's Pie 5. All right, the Rockwood Experience continues, and like I said, Your Best Life will be the major part of today's show, and the reason being is because the show is all about living your best life, truly. It's about sharing things I like and things I can share with you, and sometimes there will be some side shows and after the shows and .5 episodes, but right now I had an opportunity to spend some time with my students at Edward Waters College. This was the entire campus. This was Academic Honors Day, and I was invited to be the keynote speaker. And, well, it was my opportunity to share with the entire student body a chance for them to figure out ways and keys to live their best lives. It starts out with Dr. Kim Davis giving an individual performance of the classic gospel song Total Praise. Hopefully, you'll enjoy it.
You know, I had planned to start off doing a poem. But after that, I don't think we can just go into things as they were planned. Which means you have to sometimes have rounded shoulders and allow whatever spirit is moving in you to actually move so the work can be done. If you're with me, say all right. So I am going to greet you, however, in the Arabic words of peace, Assalamu alaikum. I greet you in the Hindustani words of greeting, Namaste. I greet you in the language of the People's Republic of South Africa, where Nelson Mandela was held and so long was there and showed us how to fight and how to be peaceful. Kunjani, the language of Afrikaans. I greet you in the language of the Kenyan people of Western Africa, Swahili. Jambo, Habaragani. I greet you in the language of the Igbo tribe and the Yoruba peoples in Nigeria. Fanga, Alafia. I greet you in the language of our Jewish brothers and sisters, the language of Hebrew. Shalom. And last but not least, I greet you in the language that you so crudely call your own, in English. What's up? How y'all doing? You thought it was going to be boring and that we was just going to sit here and be stuffy, but especially after that song, we cannot. And I got to give to my boss and my dear friend before I even came aboard, Dr. Kimberly Davis, the chair of the communications department. Absolutely amazing. To my friend, the chair of the board of trustees, the Right Reverend Adam J. Richardson, members of the board, my friend, President Glover, faculty, staff, student leadership, students, and parents. Today, we are here to celebrate smart folk. We are here to celebrate academics and wonder. And those of you who may not be honored today are just being prepared so that you can sit in those same seats. Now, I must also acknowledge the presence of two gentlemen here today, Dr. Saeed Sewell and Dr. A. Zachary Faison. One of these gentlemen will lead our institution into our next stage of being. And I'm proud to say, as a fifth generation Edwardian who's had family to go and accomplish some wonderful things in life, I must say that I know our leadership is ready to take us into the next stage of being. Not to take anything away from President Glover, because when I came, I finished graduate school. Just to tell you real quick, I finished grad school and I come back home and I was consulting, and the president, I don't know if you remember, Mr. President, had Dr. Walker called me, and he called and he said, I just want you to come help us raise a little money. Because I knew how to raise some money. You know, I learned from him in the politics world. And I came up, and next thing I knew, I was teaching a class. And the next thing I knew after that, I was here all the time. And I told him the other day, I said, you planned this like this, didn't you? But I appreciate being able to give back to the place that I love so much. Now, you know, the great philosopher Socrates was so wise, and Socrates walked around giving people advice all the time. In fact, Socrates used to give advice to people who ain't want it either. And they poisoned him. Just to be clear, I'm not trying to give you advice. I'm just telling you about some things that I know. And one thing I know for sure is that what we hold of yesterday is only a memory, and tomorrow is an accomplishment that is yet to be made. So we must rise and go forth and conquer, because this day that we sit in is the first day of the rest of our lives. But the question that we must ask ourselves is, what are we going to do with it? Now, today I sit in the presence of some extraordinary young men and women. But the things that you do will determine where you go. It will make the world a better place. And of course, there will be challenges. There will be things that you have to overcome. But now you are laying the foundation so that when you come to those challenges, you can meet them where they are. Challenges, you see, are meant to be overcome. I, too, have experienced challenges. Even though I grew up not too terribly far from here and went to Ribault Senior High School, probably a 10-minute car's drive from here. But I will tell you, it was a long way from there to here. Now, even though we talk about those long and far journeys, people before us have journeyed longer and harder. Now it's our turn to take up the mantle and move into the next stage of being. First and foremost, what we must do is find a way to connect with people who look like us and people who don't.
I'm going to say this again so you get it. Find a way to connect with people who look like you and people who don't. It's interesting, considering how much the world has changed. Facebook makes about 150 billion connections on a regular basis, with 4.5 billion likes and status updates every single day. Yet the body of science has shown us in statistics that we as Americans especially are more isolated than ever before. Get this, the first time in 30 years, this is a real statistic, mental health disabilities outrank physical disabilities in American children. And why is it? Because we've allowed our gadgets to replace our lives. I can't tell you, Kayla, where you at? I'm calling you out. I can't tell you how many times we're sitting in class and I'm saying, put the phone down. I'm saying, you can't be on Facebook, but I can multitask. No, sometimes you just got to be present. Quite often we spend so much time not being present that we forget that being present allows us, when we're not there, we miss so much. You know, I had a friend the other day and she was dating this guy and, they went to the movies. Went to the movies to have a good time. And I asked her and she said, oh, I love him and yeah, I can't wait. And when we get married, we're going to have this many children. I said, well, girl, how was the movie? She was so interested in getting to the wedding that she forgot to enjoy the experience of going on a date to the movie. So sometimes some of us are so interested with getting there when we need to appreciate the process of being here. If it's going to be your year of yes, if it's going to be you continuing to achieve and getting the job you want, if you're with me, say, all right. If it's about you getting the job you want, if it's about you creating the life you want and the family you want, you've got to trust the process. A butterfly doesn't just become a butterfly overnight. The caterpillar has to form the chrysalis. Once it does that, it then can't, there was another story I heard about a little boy who saw the caterpillar that had formed the chrysalis, and he went over to try to pick it out because he saw the caterpillar struggling to get out. And when the caterpillar came out and the boy had picked the hole, the caterpillar died. It died because the process that needed to be trusted was that the tiny hole that the caterpillar would push through would then push blood into its wings and it could spread out and become the beautiful butterfly that it was supposed to be. But it could not do that unless it went through the process. So that's what I ask you, to trust the process and learn to connect with each other so you can help each other through the process. Now, the next part of it is not just connecting, but also giving. Making sure you are connected enough to give back. I remember going to the shopping center one day. I was in my truck and the man was standing there. I was like, Lord, don't let this man ask me for no money. I do not feel like being bothered today. This man was standing there and I was convicted for saying that. And I was trying to get to my truck. And as I got there, he didn't say anything until I walked up and he said, hey man, nice truck. And I did feel convicted because I had just already in my mind established the fact that he was going to ask me for some money. And I said to myself, let me ask him I said, do you need any help? I simply asked him, Bishop, do we need any help? And the man turned to me and said, don't we all? When you think about that, I know I had money and a place to sleep. I had meals to eat. I had those things that I needed. But at the end of the day, I still needed help. I still needed to be connected with those around me. So find the capacity so you can reach beyond the mental pictures that you put in your mind and help others. My friends, it deals with you even in class. If you can help someone understand a concept that they may not get, it goes into your bank of prosperity. You're going to get that back. Now, that's not why you should be doing it, but trust and believe it's a currency that never runs out. Several years ago, just after finishing college, and it's hard to believe that I've been out of Edward Waters College nearly 20 years. It's hard to believe that. And I had just wrapped up my time as commissioner here in Jacksonville, and Mr. President, I had decided to run for the state legislature, and I asked the Lord for a sign to run. I said, Lord, I need to know, should I run for state rep? And I was young, Mr. President. I was just out of college, 20-some years old. I said, I'm going to run and I'm going to be the state representative. And I'm thinking all these things that I had already planned things for myself. This is a quick story. I had planned stuff for myself. And I was polling and I said, Lord, should I run? And I was expecting, you know how we do when we ask God for something. We don't want it to just come and it just come. We want to see a cloud descend out of the sky and a halo light upon us. And then that's how we know we're supposed to do the thing. That didn't happen to me. I was in Publix. And an old man came up to me and he gave me my prayer that I had given to God. He gave it back to me verbatim. So I knew I was supposed to run. And the old man, I still have it, gave me a 50-cent piece. He said, I don't have much. I'm going to give you this, sir. He said, you that Johnson boy, I'm going to give you this, and this is what you're supposed to do. So I took it as my sign that I was to run. I then told God, I said, well, now, if I'm going to run, Lord, I got to get some money so I can win. I never asked him to win. I said, God, I need to raise more money than anybody. I'll tell you, I got out here, and Mr. President, I raised double what all my other opponents raised combined. Still in the record books. I raised the money. I was ready. I was polling 10 points out on the Friday before the election. And on the Tuesday, the numbers came out and I did not win. And I was kind of mad at God. I'm not going to tell no lie. I was upset. I'm like, you don't got me out here and embarrassed me in front of all these people. Told me to run. I was downtown and I was packing up my stuff at the time, the Hyatt downtown, and we were packing up to go. And I was looking out on the water. And my heart had started to be soft. The day after the election, Mr. President, I walked from the Hyatt over to Bethel for their midweek service. And I worshiped. I said, you know, I ain't talking to you, but I'm going to still go and do what I got to do. But I ain't talking to you right now because you'll embarrass me. And when I had finally let that go and found, that's why you have to get still and be in the space where you can hear the words and messages. Y'all, I looked out on the water and I heard just as clear as I'm talking to you, I heard a voice say, the lesson was in the running, not in the winning. I told you to run. I never told you that you would win. And I did it. And I thought that that was it. I was trying to figure out what was next for me. Because y'all know sometimes we go to a place where we try to figure out what's next. And sometimes it's not for us to figure out what's next. You have to be available. And I'm not a preacher, but there's a story in the Bible, a little known story about a man named Ebed-Melech, who was a eunuch, right? And this eunuch in the Bible was used by God to get freedom for his servant. And one of the reasons why God used Ebed-Melech is because he was available. God used Martin Luther King because he was available. He was the youngest. They said he couldn't do it. But look at what happened because of Martin Luther King. Rosa Parks, they said she couldn't, but she was available. So sometimes it's about finding that availability for yourself. I'll tell you, the next year came about. I didn't win the election, but the Senate President, Jim King, at the time appointed me to sit on a committee to change the education funding formula, which was the reason why I was running anyway. So even though I didn't get the title, I still got to get accomplished the reason I ran. I still won. And the year after the election, I ended up getting called by Nickelodeon to come and ended up in, now remember, had I been in the Florida legislature, I would have been helping 30 million people in Florida. I was in 150 million households around the world on Nickelodeon, leaving messages of positivity. See, God had bigger plans for me than just sitting in the legislature if I was available. Now, what if I had got mad and upset and not been saying, what's next for me? What if when the president called me here to ask me to say, hey, son, come help me raise some money, I said, well, no, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. And now the students that I have directly impacted, who are sitting in newsrooms in this city, who are sitting in newsrooms in other parts of the world, and who are changing communication. What if I had said, no, I ain't supposed to do that? You have to find, wherever you are, whatever it is, your availability. As I bring things to a close, I want to tell you about a little film I saw the other day, small little artsy film by a guy named Ryan Coogler called Black Panther. Okay, I ain't gonna say small. $1 billion plus. Now let's not talk about A Wrinkle in Time, another movie that an African-American woman was given $100 million. That was number 2 at the box office. I mean, this is a wonderful time for especially people of color. But while I watched the movie, I took some lessons from it, and I hope to quickly leave you with these lessons as I wind this thing down. You see, I remember, for those of you that didn't see the movie, go. It's a good movie. But I remember the thing that Black Panther needed to do to ascend the throne. In order for him to become the king of Wakanda, he had to fight. And in order for him to go through the fight he had to, the one thing he needed to do was to get rid of his strength. Sometimes we sit back and so often we think, well, I've got this, I've amassed this, I'm supposed to be here, and we don't want to step backward so that we can go forward. But get this, when an archer takes an arrow, before the arrow can fly, it must be pulled back. I'm going to have to say that again. Some of y'all might get that tomorrow. Before the arrow can fly, you've got to pull it back so that it can get the momentum to move forward. So your responsibility, rather than complaining about being pulled back or taking a moment, it's you need to make sure that you fix your focus and watch your aim. I'm going to say it one more time. Fix your focus and watch your aim. So when we pull back and allow ourselves to fly in that direction and understand that sometimes even when we're flying, even when we find the focus, even when we are well aimed, we still got to take a moment. Even after the Black Panther fought the fight and was ready to become the king of Wakanda, and he drank the potion of the heart-shaped herb, he had to die again. He had to go through death again and be covered up to be resurrected so that he could make changes not only in his life but in the world. So sometimes when we see things holding us back or putting us to the side, we have to find the ability within us to say, there is a reason for this. I talked to one of our learning team members the other day. I said, instead of focusing on, oh, I wasted time, I didn't do that, I didn't do the other. What you need to do is say, what did I learn? Because if you don't learn the lessons, you'll be forced to repeat. Again, I am so proud of you, my scholars, my wonderful, amazing, beautiful scholars. I love each and every one of you, and a great man, a friend of mine, Les Brown, once said to me, sometimes you got to believe in other people's belief in you until your own belief kicks in. So right now, I'm telling each and every one of you as I look at you and as the emotion pours forth within me, I am proud of you. I believe in you and I expect nothing but excellence from you. I leave you with the words of one Dr. Seuss. Congratulations, today is your day. You're off to great places, you're off and away. You've got brains in your head and feet in your shoes. You can steer yourself any direction you choose. You're on your own and you know what to do. You'll decide where to go. You'll decide what to do. Oh, the places you'll go, the fun to be done. There are points to be scored and games to be won. You'll be as famous as can be. And maybe one day you'll end up on TV. And will you succeed? Yes, you will indeed. 98 3/4% guaranteed. So be your name Bixbaum or Bixby or Bray or Mordecai Alley, Van Allen O'Shea. You're off to great places. Today is your day. My scholars, my wonderful, amazing scholars. Your mountain is waiting. So climb it and get on your way. God bless you. Thank you.
Good job, man.
So that's what we do at Edward Waters College. And, you know, that's something that reminds me of what we did when I was there so many moons ago. The chapel thing is something that many colleges and universities, especially mainstream ones, don't get to do. But it was something that we did, and it was unique to us, and it was something that we remembered, and it took us there. Like every time we did it, we were able to find ways to empower ourselves. It's always on the Wednesday of every week, and we were able to find ways to empower ourselves and to live our best lives. And hopefully you found something out of the speech that appeared, because I will say it's so funny. While I was giving the speech, things just started to happen. And that's when you know it gets good. That's when you know the universe is at work, when things start to happen and they begin to move and meander in ways that you didn't really necessarily plan or comprehend them to start happening. When things happen in that way, you just got to let the spirit move, as my grandmother would say. And when you do, you're able to share those intimate places with others in ways that could help inspire them to be better and do better. And I think that's what happened, and I think that's what happens continually. So I'm all about living our best lives in whatever way we can and helping other people to do the same way. Do the same thing. It reminds me of one of the favorite books I've read. I was listening to Fareed Zakaria, GPS, the other day on CNN, and one of the things Fareed said, which was so interesting to me, is that in 2018, there's like 30 or 40% of Americans that have not even picked up a book. And when I say pick up a book, I mean a tablet, an ebook, or hit play on an audiobook. If you can, almost a quarter, or more than a quarter rather, of our country has not picked up a book. It's almost mind-boggling to think, even though worldwide literacy rates are on the rise, and they should be, but you have to think, or you have to wonder, is social media taking away some of that connection that is usually there? So with all that being said, read a book. But one of my favorite books, A New Earth, Awakening to Your Life's Purpose by Eckhart Tolle, which I discovered on the Oprah Winfrey Show. But that got me to understanding that my life's purpose was about telling stories. And whether it was on a stage, or whether it was on screen, or on the news, or any of those other places, if I were to do what I was supposed to do and tell the story, then I could make things better for me and definitely make things better for other people. And that's what I strive for my life to be about. And, hopefully you're doing the same in whatever way that you can. It doesn't have to be in a podcast or on the news, but whatever thing that it is that you do, find that passion. That was one of the things in the book. It said there are 3 modalities to awakened doing: acceptance, enjoyment, and enthusiasm. So if you can once, quite often a lot of us, I know I've used to do it, but a lot of us will come to a place where we want to do something and it's like, oh, I want to do this thing, but I don't want to do what I have to do to get the thing done, right? So, you have to get up from the chair and walk over to the door and turn the knob to get out of the door. But we complain about sitting in the chair. We complain about the long journey. We complain about having to turn the knob, as opposed to saying, you know what, in order for me to leave where I am now, I've got to accept there are a few things that I need to do. And those things include getting up from the chair, walking over to the door, and turning the knob. Well, that's what the 3 modalities of awakened doing are about. If you're conscious, if you're awake, then you can accept the fact that I have to do those things. And if you can just accept it, don't fight against it, accept it, then you may enjoy it. And then you go from enjoying it to being enthused by it. And it changes the dynamic of everything you do, I guarantee you. So understanding the 3 modalities of awakened doing, acceptance, enjoyment, and enthusiasm, if you employ those, it changes the energy with which you do everything in your life. And that's something that's, you can't describe it. You can't put it into words. And that's a beautiful thing. And it's another key to living your best life. Yeah. So I'm really appreciative of this show. Yet another great show, knocking it out of the park. You guys keep me on my toes all the time. I'm glad I could share your best life, even though it was a little bit longer than I anticipated. You guys keep me on my toes at all times. And thanks for the well wishes. I definitely am not one to be sick, so I don't really talk about being sick. And I told a couple people, on social media that I had bronchitis, and I got so many great wishes and notes and text messages and emails and all those great things. So thank you guys so much. Don't forget, you can always call me, 540-RAHMAN-7. That's 540-RAHMAN-7. You can always reach out to me via phone and tell me what's on your mind. Who's going to see Avengers Infinity War anyway? I'm just curious. I am so looking forward to that movie because I want to see how they have now integrated the team from Wakanda in with the rest of the Avengers. Pretty cool. I've seen some of the trailers, trying to get in on the action for the, what do you call it? The fan experience. I went to the fan experience for Black Panther. It was absolutely perfect. So I'm trying to get in on that. So if you got some tickets, you can FedEx them to me. I'll take it. I'll pay the FedEx. Hook a brother up. Anyway, guys, thank you for all the well wishes, and thank you for keeping us focused and doing what we know we need to do. Shouts out to my producer, Hagan Cummings. Also, my assistant. The guy is a super powerhouse and keeps the show cranking and moving. I appreciate all the work you put into this, the entire learning team at Edward Waters College and the WEWC Tiger Nation Radio and Television Network, as EWC signs off to and says goodbye to its final graduation with President Nathaniel Glover. This is an end of an era. So the new president, Dr. Zachary Faison, is on the way, and I look forward to some exciting things and continuing the legacy that we all stand on the shoulders of here at Edward Waters. Again, thank you guys for being a part of the experience, and remember, don't take no from someone who does not have the authority to tell you yes. If no one told you, absolutely, unequivocally, I love you. Now make the rest of your experience today, tonight, whatever it is, make it amazing. We'll talk soon.
The Rahman Experience. It's a brand new experience, a brand new time, a brand new way to do it. Hey, yeah, it's all mine. I'm the one telling stories you thought couldn't be told. I'm the one that bring you in your when you shaking from the cold. I'm the one always out front, yeah, trying something new. I'm the one that's gonna deliver when they ask what it do. Politics, entertainment, and science, all the new. Keeping you on the level with the stuff you can use. DJ Kids on the beat, the Rock's got the track. It's the Rahman Experience. You know that's where it's at.